Survivor's ready! Direct from Hobart, it's time for you to hear those so-called experts from Survivor Oz talk about another reality show, despite the fact they always said they wouldn't ever talk about Survivor. It's The Amazing Race Oz, and here's your host,
Colin Hilding. Hello everybody, welcome back to The Amazing Race Oz. We are back for more coverage of The Amazing Race Canada, and this is kind of a one-off special episode here, the first of a few we're hoping to bring you. We're chatting with, for the first time, one of the teams from the current season, Season 3, and it's only fitting that I did pick the local team here to be the first one that we chat with. We're so happy to be joined today by Brian and Cynthia. How are you doing today, Brian and Cynthia?
Very well, thank you for having us.
Thanks, Colin.
We're actually very excited about this all around for The Amazing Race Oz because we weren't quite sure what to think about you two when we saw the pregame stuff and even the first episode. But once the second episode and everything else kicked in after that, I mean, you provided so many hilarious, entertaining moments throughout the season that we even developed a segment which was just known as Brian and Cynthia's Moment of the Week. So since you've unfortunately been gone, we haven't had that. We changed to Opie's I Can't Do It Moment of the Week, but we're going to bring you a special Brian and Cynthia Moment of the Week here, so we'll hopefully get a little bit of insight on the season right now.
Perfect. Yes. Well, you know what? That's part of us. Sometimes we're hard to read, but we definitely, I think, provided some highly entertaining moments that we can laugh at ourselves, so all good.
First of all, were either of you big fans of The Amazing Race going in, or had you seen either the American or the Canadian version?
Yeah, we watch every version of the Amazing Race, whether it be American or Canadian. We don't have the Australian version, so we watch it all.
Had you tried auditioning for the previous two seasons, or was this the first time out for you?
So yeah, no, we had applied before, and then for this season it was just kind of during the flood of 2014. We're in our hip waders and we're in water, and we're kind of down and out, and we're like, this is like a huge challenge for us this year, and so we're like, if we can handle this that we're dealing with, and that was in 2014, we can deal with The Amazing Race.
We've talked a little bit with other teams from the American and Canadian version about the audition process, but the one thing that's most surprising that we've come across is how I always assumed that people just audition, and then once you meet with producers, once you meet with the network, they kind of determine, well, this is the role you're going to fill. But we found with most of the teams that we've talked to on both the American and Canadian version that they're kind of going in with a plan saying, this is our gimmick. This is how we're branding ourselves. I remember talking to Cormac and Nicole, and they were saying that, they went in with this gimmick. They, proposed like, okay, well, I'm a mother and I was his age when I had him. Like, did you put a lot of thought into that, or is it pretty much just, we're two married police officers, it speaks for itself? In
all honesty, I don't think, we're not reality superstar wannabes. I mean, we definitely lead a certain life, and it's a very private life due to obvious reasons to ourselves. So going into this, it was just for the adventure, actually. So there was no gimmick in mind. It was just who we are, and if, you either like us or you don't like us. And, the story, well, we are who we are, and, we're very proud to be police officers in our military history. And, there's a lot of negativity in this world, and especially where we work in. So we're like, well, this could be something positive. But one of our biggest, probably, apprehensions was actually putting ourselves out on TV because of what we do.
When the show started, like I said, we didn't really know what to make of you.
You're boring,
going in.
Guys, or what?
Well, we actually branded you more like the very serious, firm, kind of honorable police officers from the beginning of the season. And I don't know if, I'm assuming it's just sort of your own personalities like slowly coming out. You do get these teams, obviously you've seen so many seasons where you know that they're kind of playing up on what they know is going to get them on camera. And it really did take till the second and third week before we saw that humor come out of you two. Is that were you just naturally being yourself, or were you maybe a little bit more reserved pregame and in the first episode?
Yeah, we're Cynthia and I are very reserved people to begin with. Yeah, we're intense, and once we got our legs wet and went to the first competition, the first leg, second leg, starting to relax and embrace it a bit, we became ourselves and started to open up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, like, I mean, maybe not all people can get it, but I mean, we get each other, and, you know, very dry humor that, you know, is funny to us. And that's dealing with, you know, sometimes really, some not so, you know, great situations that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you have to deal with. So, yeah, we have a lot of dry humor in us.
Yeah, well, I think people are definitely getting it. Again, not even just a Canadian thing, but, you know, so many of our Australians and Americans who contribute on this, we all were loving you after the first couple weeks. Like I said, we named a segment after you. So I think the very first thing that stands out with you two would be you, Cynthia, and the first roadblock, or I guess the double roadblock, where you had to do the water obstacle course and just trying to get across that balance beam or whatever it was. It looked so painful. Like, I usually have to watch this episode a little bit later at night when I get home. And I remember seeing you fall a couple of those times and, honest to God, just screaming at the top of my lungs, like, oh! And my wife, like, shut up, you know, you're going to wake up the neighbors. Like, was it as painful as it looked on TV?
You know, when I watched it back, I mean, at the time, Brian's like, oh my God, are you okay? And he was asking me about certain parts of my body that you know what, you don't even realize it, right? You're so focused, so intense, that, you know, there's probably a better technique to it that I saw on the show and not, you know, not then and there. But when I rewatched it back, I'm like, oh yeah, but I had bruises literally from head to toe. My eyelids were bruises. I had black eyes, and, yeah, no, it hurt.
The moment where, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Kristen, who was crawling across it later on, and then you did this double take, like, oh, I wish I had thought about that. Like, was that a frustrating moment to see somebody else do it, and you're like, oh, there probably would have been a way to avoid these injuries here?
You know, and I mean, you're more than probably aware of editing and such.
Mm-hmm.
That look was not seeing that specific technique being done because they were not. I did not see Kristen cross the log.
Oh, okay.
If I would have seen it, you know, before, I would have done it. But we know, actually, I did not see it after that was editing, to see the look like after. I think it was just pure despair of like, oh my God, now I have to run a couple of clicks to the mat. So it was tough. But you know what? We weren't ones to give up, and we're definitely going to give 100%. So that's what we did.
The other thing I think that stands out is the I guess, hidden identity of your professions throughout. Brian, you had some really hilarious moments where you're like policing there. I wouldn't know the first thing about that. And it seemed like during the mid-season reunion show, after the race, that some of the other teams were very critical about that. But you know, for me, I was wondering, like, what's the point of being critical? You know, it's easy for them to say if, you know, wouldn't have put a target on you, but do you feel like that did help you, especially considering that there were comparisons made to Dana and Amanda, who were like, well, they didn't hide their police officers and they weren't a target, but they were also always at the bottom of the pack. Like, do you believe that, especially considering how strong your performance was in those later legs, that did help you to not put that extra target on you?
You know, there's a few points with that. I mean, it's easy to judge, you know, have an opinion, whatever. And, you know, we can laugh at ourselves and we're confident with ourselves. I mean, kind of 3 points with that is, number one, we know as experienced and proud to be police officers that sometimes when you introduce yourselves to anyone, that as police officers, boom, you're only known as the cops, and that's what everybody wants to talk to you about. This race was really about Brian and myself doing it, so that's what we wanted people to know at. Number two, absolutely strategy and not putting targets on our back. It's not so much apparent on this show as maybe some other reality shows. And number three, talking about maybe a little gimmick or a side storyline that, you know, here we are still talking about it, and absolutely, you know, editing took it and ran with it. And, you know, them talking about it at the mid-season show, and we're not even there, and they're talking about it. Mm-hmm. You know, it was something to talk about, good or bad, and, you know, we stand by our choice.
Yeah, and for the record, like I firmly believe, especially when you do consider like Dana and Amanda, they weren't really a threat anyways. Like it would be easy to say going in, it's not really going to be a factor. But then when you're coming in second and third on almost every single leg, I mean, you two were real front runners throughout the race. Were you feeling like you could have taken the whole thing, or does that really not factor in? Like, were you just playing it leg by leg?
No, we were going 100%, 110%. Every leg, we were there to win. And standing beside Amanda and Dana when they lost, it was painful because they were peers, and it hurt. And that's why we said to them, "You represented the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary with honor." So we meant that, and it was at that point that I almost said to them, "Hey, we're cops, so we all bleed blue as cops." And it was sad to see them go, but we had to carry on.
I think probably for you, I'm going to assume going in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for you, Brian, was the hardest challenge you faced the one where you had to identify the little painted lady with like the small differences on it?
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, when we got off the plane after 30 hours of flying, it was boom, straight into the cab, and the honking and the melee of the streets. And then when we get there, I had to figure out the wrinkles in her neck that was different. A lot of other teams had like colors and whatnot, and I had to figure out wrinkles. So I was actually very happy that I figured it out in the time we did.
Any other challenges that were particularly hard that maybe you didn't get shown as much on the race, or I guess even on the flip side, any ones that you just breeze through and there's maybe some behind the scenes stories on?
It was really tough for us was, we think of ourselves as maybe not an expert at any one thing, but kind of well-rounded, with life experiences. But dancing, oh my goodness, was there ever a dancing task? So yeah. Here is our thinking process of, the Rappy Nui dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Brian and when I watched it, because I was focused on mine, but I could hardly move from the log roll. I was like bruises from eye to toe, so I couldn't even squat at that point. And Brian just killed it. So here we are. That was in Chile. So then leg 3. It was, between dance or dine or dance, I think it was. So we're like, well, we kind of killed the dance, like A for effort, I guess. So we went and did the tango. That was horrible. We were terrible. I have dancing bones in us. And, the dancing task continued from there. But the tango, like, I really don't think they showed us how terrible we were. And at that point, exhaustion had kicked in, the lack of food, the lack of water. I couldn't even remember left, right. Like, it was terrible and not graceful at all.
With John Montgomery, we haven't had that many stories about him so far, but what is John like in person? We see him, he's so much fun in the challenges and everything, and then he really gets down and talks with everybody. Like, did you get to interact with John a lot?
No, we didn't interact with him a lot, other than at the mat or after the mat, but in general, John is a down-to-earth Canadian guy who I could see having a beer with. He's a very, very down-to-earth guy.
And he's actually another homegrown Manitoba boy.
Exactly,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little bit of time to chit-chat with him kind of after the mat, waiting for the next teams. But, there's the whole fraternization thing that, he can't talk to too many teams. We didn't hang out with beers in between for the next leg, but no, he's a super down-to-earth guy, and that's what Brian and I said, that totally we could see ourselves hanging out and having a beer with him.
I think the one moment that's caused the most debate with either of you, I guess even more so than the whole, not revealing your profession, was the moment with Hamilton Michaela, or Hamilton, where he wanted the help on the puzzle challenge, and Cynthia, you were working with Neil, was it?
That's right.
Yeah, and when he asked for the help, you said, we've already been working on this for a while, and it's really surprised me how many people seem to think that was a bad move, because I'm watching this thinking, well, he's trying to leverage the Express Pass, but he's not going to split it between you and Neil. I mean, you're on separate teams.
in that time and moment, Neil and I made a pact at the beginning of that, which was a lot of time before that we were going to work together. So during that challenge, we worked together. We're putting the letters together. Actually, I finished my board quite a bit before Neil, so I could have taken off. But, Kristen was saying to Brian, is Cynthia going to leave? And absolutely not. I gave my word, and I'm going to be loyal to him. And then, he came in there, and it's about editing, right? And they want they want it to be what it is, and then that's fine. He asked us numerous times before. We provided him a pen. We provided him some other help, and then it was just that moment that was cut. And at that point, absolutely, they were never going to give it to us. With other Nova Scotians there, I mean, it was pretty apparent before that even. And what are you going to rip the express pass in half and, to Neil and to us? So, we definitely got a lot of flack for that, and it is what it is, right? And if it's easy to judge again and not knowing the whole story. So I appreciate you probably seeing more of the big picture.
We should mention really quickly that even though you're eliminated from the race, it's not completely over because there is the Petro-Canada Fuel Your Favorite Team for a chance to win.
Right.
Where, obviously it looks like it's a runaway for one team. We won't spoil it in case other people are listening, but you rank pretty high up there throughout the race. So is this something like do you know how people go to vote for you, or is there a particular way that they can follow you as you continue to compete for this?
We're very proud and we're very happy about the support we're getting from the RCMP because Cynthia is integrated with the RCMP in the unit, and I was integrated with an RCMP unit. We're very happy that we're getting support from everybody from the Canadian Forces world and the police world.
Again, I said it looks like it's a runaway for the others, but people should definitely still vote because there's still a chance. If there's a couple of tens of thousands of people who get out there in the next week, you could still win gas for life.
Well, I mean, even Winnipeg, right? We got 1 million plus people, so it takes everybody to log in once. But and you know what? I mean, with our professions, we were never huge out in the social media world, but we did open up a team Twitter account, Team Brian and Cynthia, just to interact, and we've had fun with it and embracing it. And you know what? It is what it is, and it's still a reality TV show, right? Of people want to talk, good or bad, and you know what? We get it. We've been around this world for a little longer than some, maybe.
Did you have a favorite location on the race? I'm going to assume it might possibly be one of the overseas ones, but what was your favorite place you were able to visit?
Jeez, oh boy. I really enjoyed the Madeleine Islands in Quebec. It was small, personable, beautiful. I could see living there. So for me, it was within Canada. And I don't know about Cynthia. I'll give it to her.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I mean, it really did. Like as tacky as it might sound, but Canada. There's a bunch of really neat places that. I mean, for Brian and I, we love to travel. And we always think, we have to get on a plane and get out of this country, right? Go somewhere warm, etc. But there's beautiful destinations within Canada, and even within our province. We actually had our fingers crossed we had done some homework before going, and we were like, maybe we'll go up to Churchill, right, to see the polar bears or something. So, everywhere was great, and India sure opened up. We had never been to a country like that before, and that opened up our eyes, definitely.
Oh, that probably was culture shock. Every time the Amazing Race goes to India, it's like, I just feel like everybody there is just on a foreign planet, like they just don't know what to make of it. It must have been really hectic there.
Well, I mean, it's a combination of so many factors. You're on a plane for 30-plus hours, right? I mean, the normal traveling, jet lag, yada, yada. And then I'll never forget, we love heat, and we go every winter to a sunny destination down south, right? But walking out of that airport, it hit us like a brick wall of, plus 50 heat. And it was like, and this is with jet lag, and it was crazy. And then just pure chaos, like sensory overload.
are you planning on doing anything like? I know you said you opened up a Twitter account for this, and do you have any plans after the season's over, like to use the fame that you have on the show, or any plans on doing anything else after this?
We've been approached to do some youth stuff where youths from different school divisions are doing amazing races. So we have been approached to, start it off or speak at them. So we're really looking forward to that because the youth are the future.
If nothing else, you make me want to go back to school by saying that. I want to take part in this.
Oh, and I mean, true to our word, like we did not, go on this race for the publicity to, some teams may or may not have had an extracurricular, to sell T-shirts or what have you.
Yeah.
But, if we can provide some supporting words to, especially some of our youth, right? They're our future, and like I said, I don't want to sound too, yada, yada, but, it's true. So, we'll, pick and choose and support, those that might make a difference in the future.
And if you completely run out of things to do, feel free to come back on our show at any point and just drop in with a Brian and Cynthia moment of the week, regardless of whether season's on the air. Gotcha.
We're glad, Colin, that we foobarred your predictions, though, as us being the 10th team to be kicked off, though. You didn't have high expectations for us, though.
Was that my prediction? Did you dig that up somewhere?
I may or may not have, but you had us going out the second team.
Cynthia does her homework.
There we go, 10th, yeah. If you look at the predictions, none of us really did well. I don't know how... Unfortunately, we keep tabs of these throughout the season, and we award points based on who's the closest. I'm the only one without a point this season. So I'm way off.
I just had to throw that little jab at you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be wrong, because, the longer you were on the show, the more entertaining it was. And the show's still good, but I don't think it's quite lived up to the level when Brian and Cynthia were still on it.
Thank you very much, Colin. We tried our best, and we hope we entertained a lot of people.
All right, and we're hoping you'll eventually be back on the inevitable Amazing Race Canada All-Stars.
Yeah, we'll be like senior citizens by then, though.
There have been lots of senior citizens on The Amazing Race who have done very well. Thanks so much for being here, guys.
Okay, well, thanks for having us.
Thank you, Colin.
And huge thank you to Brian and Cynthia for doing this interview with us today. We are hoping, as I said, on there to have a couple of other Season 3 teams on very soon. And big thanks to CTV and Bell Media for setting this interview up for us. And if anybody's wondering, we do have the recap that will be going up pretty soon for this past week's episode. Probably one of the most entertaining episodes of the season, so you can listen to that. After that, it's finale week, so Amazing Race Canada is coming to a close on Wednesday, and then on Friday, Amazing Race Season 27 starts. So this is our busiest week, along with Survivor starting this week. So listen for all Survivor and Amazing Race stuff. You'll have something to listen to every single day, pretty much at this rate. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, vote for Brian and Cynthia if you're able to for the free gas for life through Petro-Canada, and we will see you at the Petro-Canada station.